spell, please?
SANDOVAL.
Thank you.
Okay. December 7th, the day that will live in infamy. We got some minutes from, I believe, 2 sets. Got a special meeting that was held prior to the last regular meeting, so any motion or additions or corrections?
No, it's fine.
I'll second it, Fred.
John?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
TJ?
Yes. Okay, that was followed by our regular meeting. Pretty thorough set of minutes. Any additions or corrections?
I don't have anything. Anyone else have anything? I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
John?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
TJ?
Yes. Okay, we have Mr. Ryan Callender here is here on invitation from the board and the fiscal officer as we move into financing of road garage that we're in the planning stages on. And Fred, you want to?
Yeah. We asked Mr. Callender here to, first of all, to present the resolution for issuance of a bond which will be used as security for the financing of the road garage, and also to explain to the board and to any of our audience members that are interested what the bond issuance process is and what it means. So if you want to go ahead and take over, Ryan.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me tonight. Under, as I'm sure the board is aware of, under Ohio law, no local government can borrow money without specific authorization within the Ohio Laws Code. And then there are specific debt parameters that you have to fit. Townships are some of the more restrictive amongst all the different types of local governments in Ohio. So you have to fit within those restrictions, you have to fit within the parameters and the authorization, and then you actually authorize the issuance of a bond, which serves as your debt. In this particular case, you're issuing under Ohio Revised Code Section 505-262, which allows you to issue debt for the purposes of construction of a building, and your debt can be such that your debt service can be no more than 1/10 of your annual budget. Which you clearly will well under. So the first part of the process, and I'll go over the resolution very briefly here in a second, but the first part of the process is for the board to adopt a bond resolution which sets the parameters to the financing deal. The parameters are fairly restrictive, but you want to provide parameters and a little bit of flexibility so that when the date that you actually want to price the bond, that is, get your absolute final interest rate, the final amount you want to borrow, and the final payment dates, that you have some flexibility to get the best deal possible. At that point, we work with the bank, which my understanding is you're working with Middlefield Bank right now to do that. We work with the bank to come up with all your closing certificates, to come up with an actual bond, which we draft. And at the end of the day, the bank gets that bond, which serves as Mr. May had suggested as a security for your payment of the debt service. This will be a tax-exempt bond. That is, the interest that is paid by the bank is free from federal taxation and state taxation. That's the advantage of being a local government in Ohio, which gives you a little bit better interest rate. At the end of the day, I then provide a legal opinion to the bank, which they will want, kind of serves as double, not security in that I'm going to pay it for you, but security that you've gone through all the correct procedures and you fit within the parameters of Ohio Revised Code. So the bond resolution that you have in front of you will set the parameters, which is now to exceed $2 million. It's the interest rate right now, as I understand it, is somewhere in what you're negotiating with Middlefield Bank will probably be somewhere around the 3.6% range. but we set a parameter of not to exceed 4.5%, just again to...
It is subject to change. They've been talking about it for a year now.
Correct,
you know.
right. And there's always, in your situation, when you're financing for a new money project, there's always a give and take of you don't want to borrow the money too early because you don't want to have to start paying interest on it, but you want to take advantage of interest rates too, which, if I knew what interest rates we're going to do tomorrow, I probably wouldn't be sitting here, nor any of us would, but that's always the give and take, and so you want to. The one thing you do know is when you actually need the money, and that you don't want to pay too much interest on it before you actually issue it. The other parameter is that the fiscal officer has certified to you that it is useful life of at least 30 years. So you could finance it up to 30 years, but right now I think you're contemplating doing that for 25 years. With that, I know there's a lot of verbiage. There's a lot of verbiage in here about the tax-exempt status and all of the covenants that you will maintain, which we will provide to you in the closing documents to make sure that you do, but essentially being a township, you're going to maintain those, unless you decide to open up an ice cream shop out of the service garage or something. You're okay.
So back up the township.
Yes, that could be an issue as well. With that, certainly would open up to any questions. Or...
I don't anticipate an interest rate above 4.5% in the near future either, but is the bank beholden to this then?
No. The bank is not beholden to it. Essentially, if, let's say, Janet Yellen decides to raise the interest rates in the next couple of weeks through the roof, which no one thinks that's going to happen, and you don't want to borrow until January, or actually issue the bond until January, we just come back to the board of trustees at that point, which is appropriate. You want to be flexible, but you want to set the parameters such that you would have to go back to the full board in order to have it approved. And I think the one thing I forgot to mention, within those parameters, there eventually will be a certificate of award, which is mentioned throughout the resolution, which your fiscal officer, your legal fiscal officer will sign, which will actually peg each of those, the actual principal amount, the actual interest rate, and the actual payment dates. But again, all of those have to fit within the very restrictive parameters that you've got in your bond resolution.
What's the time frame once we sign these resolutions for you to get your work done?
We can do, part of it depends upon coming up with a final deal with the bank, which I think you're pretty darn close to, it sounds like. We could probably close this within a couple weeks after you pass the bond resolution. But again, I would encourage you not to issue the bond until you need the money.
Right.
So, I need a 2-week notice, essentially.
Okay.
So.
What are the fees for the bond service itself?
For my fees, I believe I quoted $6,750.
Okay, and those are all, is that incorporated as part of the loan, or is that?
It can be. Okay. Yeah, you can pay for that.
No.
It would.
I think we've got some carryover, which I think the intention was to cover professional services with that, and is what we've done so far. And you would be one of those.
And not according to my wife.
Well,
Look at fashion.
okay, traditionally we would read this entire resolution, but I don't think any of us are up to reading aloud 3 pages tonight. So, well, Fred, do you have anything in summation here other than there's prepayment penalty? I see that's covered.
That's up for negotiation, but you have a limitation of how much it's going to be.
Yeah, I think just to if I can kind of paraphrase what you've said, this is basically, this resolution is a launch pad to start negotiating with a bank. It doesn't name any bank in particular. Am I
It actually does mention
Okay.
Middlefield. However,
Okay.
there is a proviso within there that if, should you choose to negotiate.
So we're
with the
not
bank,
committed by
No.
passing
You're
this
not,
resolution.
this is not a contract with Middlefield, correct?
Right. Okay.
I think that's a great way of putting it. It's a launch pad to start the process, negotiate with the bank, and eventually issue the bond.
Now, this is my first bond. Would we send this to the prosecutor's office for approval, for evaluation prior to?
You know, the prosecutor's office actually referred us to Mr. Callender. It wouldn't hurt to go back to the prosecutor and let them take a look at it. It's not exactly their area of specialty, which is why they referred us over to special bond counsel. But and certainly if the board was feeling uncomfortable.
I'm guessing most of this is just standard boilerplate for this type of project.
This, I've looked over it, and I'm not offering a legal opinion, but I've looked over this and I reviewed the resolution that was drafted for the construction of the fire department, and you know this is pretty much the same language that was used in the fire department.
For the fire department. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Here's maybe help me through this one sentence here. Fiscal officer determines that the certificate award that is in the best interest of and financially advantageous to the township, the bond shall be prepayable without penalty or premium, or with a premium not to exceed 3% of the principal amount to be redeemed.
Correct.
Okay, that seems like that's. Well, why would you do that? I don't know.
Is that just the window for negotiation again?
Correct. That's exactly right. So any from 0 to 3% being the premium on a prepayment penalty. So let's say.
Okay, once again, this would go to the final interest rate and the bank that we end up with, which is likely to be Middlefield.
Yeah, correct. Although the premium would be more. If you were to go out to the public market and sell a bond, which at $2 million you could come close to that, but your issuance cost would be much, much higher. You would have an investment banker that would sell it to the market. When they bought it, most likely there would be an 8 to 10 year lockout period.
Okay.
And so in other words, you could not prepay it after 8 to 10 years, or before 8 to 10 years. And then somewhere after then, a lot of times they would add a declining scale premium. So in the 9th year, maybe you could take it out for 103% of whatever the principal amount is. So the $100,000 outstanding at that point, it would cost you $103,000 to take it out on a prepay. So that's kind of what that's getting at, is if that's what the bank wants to negotiate, is some sort of sliding
Okay, so that's
scale.
between this group and the bank.
That's right.
Got it. So this is kind of standard language, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, what I'm trying to do is provide again, flexibility, but also make it restrictive enough that you're giving close guidance.
Okay. Well, time-wise, we're all right with sending this to the prosecutor for review.
Sure.
Yeah.
We have another meeting.
I thank you for clarifying
Sure,
everything we did. If there's any further questions, I'm sure it'll come from the board or from Fred.
Sure.
Is your presence required here when we do finally approve this? Okay, all right, that's
More
the
than happy to
question
be
I
here,
had. But like you said, you're available to clarify anything else. And
If we have any questions after the prosecutor looks at it, we can contact.
Fred knows how to get hold of that.
okay, all right. I think we'll hear from our attorneys. And
Okay.
Seal the deal then.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, first meeting of the month and scheduled reports for tonight will come from, starting with Mr. Frank Kinko, the zoning inspector.
don't have a copy of activity for the month of November. We did process 4 applications. We have 4 applications that we did not process simply because they were incomplete applications. So, even though, I don't know, something's missing, either it's not filled out correctly or something, but there's 4 of them sitting there waiting to be approved, but something's missing. I don't know if you gentlemen have received any calls, but I think between Jane and I, we've logged close to 30 calls in reference to the discharging of firearms prior to the beginning of hunting season. And a lot of them have come from the Derbyshire subdivision, and here again, the discharging of firearms is legal in the state of Ohio and is not a zoning issue. But we have followed up on 4 or 5 of them with sheriff's reports and everything, but there's nothing that my office can do about the discharging of firearms in the state of Ohio. So, but we've spent a lot of time and made probably 15 trips to investigate. And here again, like I say, there's nothing that we can do, but people seem to think it can. So I don't know if you guys have received any calls or not.
Well, not this year. I certainly have in the past, but
right. Well, there's been quite a bit of shooting going on.
Day after Thanksgiving was
right.
Yeah.
But even prior to that, on Sunday afternoons and stuff like that, and a large percentage of it was pretty high-powered, probably something like an AK-47, some type of gun like that, where they could discharge 30, 40 rounds very, very quickly. And I do find it disturbing to some extent, but here again, my office can't do anything about it, other than call the sheriff and have them look into it, in which the sheriff on several occasions did. In one instance, did suggest to the party discharging the firearms to increase the mound and height and
backdrop. I think, Frank, correct me if I'm wrong, I think in an incorporated area, a village or city or whatever, you can restrict that, but there's no township that can.
Like I said, I didn't know if any of you had received any calls, but like I said, we've gotten quite a few. Now, like I said, this was prior to the start of hunting. Once hunting season started. So, that's all I have.
Any questions regarding zoning for Mr. Kitco? Chief John Phillips is here. Wait a minute. This isn't your night. That's the 3rd. So that would make Emmerich Gordon's up. He's our township highway superintendent.
Okay, Auburn Township Road Department report for November 2015. We completed the remaining work agreement to finalize the Stafford Road reconstruction project. And what this was to open up some drainage in an existing channel to accommodate a new cross culvert pipe that was installed. The concrete pad replacement project on Shadowwood and Westwood Circle for the year was done. There are a couple other pads, and Mr. Embley, I'd like you to join me down there. We'll take a look at them. I'm going to hold off next year. We do have a large construction project we're considering on Westwood Circle with the replacement of a 60-inch cross culvert pipe running under the cul-de-sac. And I would like to wait till that's finished before I do any more concrete work down there. Coal patch was used on several roads and repairs were made where necessary. The asphalt plants are closed at this point in time. We had one culvert pipe replaced on Taylor May Road. The roadsides were mowed and brush cut and moved on Bartholomew Road and the intersection of Crackle and Brookfield, and these were into response to a couple of complaints that we had. The mower will be out as long as we have accommodating weather to start attacking a lot of the brush on the backside of the banks. Erosion at the exit side of a cross culvert pipe on Jennifer Lane was addressed with additional number 1 gravel put in there. What I'm looking at next year, since that end of that pipe receives a lot of runoff, is to put some larger limestone riprap in there. That would be next year. I have 2 projects I'm looking at using the larger stone. There were 3 full interments and 1 urn burial at the cemeteries for the month. The trucks and equipment were ready for winter service. We did experience 1 weather event primarily in the northeast part of the township that required spot salting. Due to that, we had a total of 3 tons of de-icing material used. I do have some issues I'd like to discuss with the board about the community park. I talked with you, Mr. Everly, about that. We have some issues where we did dress up the parking lot up there, and we have a recurring problem with someone going up there doing donuts in the parking lot. They're actually down to the number 1 gravel, which is the large stone, and they're kicking it up to the surface. You did ask us to address that. We went back up there, cleaned it up, put some more gravel down. Soon thereafterwards, once again, someone's up there doing donuts in the parking lot, tearing it up. As of today, there are large ripples in the lot, and they're kicking the gravel all around. I don't want to be chasing this, so we did discuss something here, Mr. I believe, if you'd like to take it from there.
Well, we have a couple surveillance cameras, but they weren't really trained in that specific spot that are on the building. But I think we need to continue and put some more cameras up there.
A motion light up there?
No, we don't have a motion light, but the park is closed at dusk. Regardless, there's 2 signs up there stating that. I don't know if we could call for extra patrol, or I know the neighbors there are pretty much aware, and there have been calls in the past. It may not be happening then. It could just be someone during the afternoon. I'm not sure. But I don't think that the township could go up there repeatedly and keep addressing that parking lot. And what they do also, PJ, is once they kick that gravel up, it becomes a muddy mess. Sure. It's no longer packed down.
How many additional cameras do you think we need?
I'd say a couple of them trained on the parking lot. We're going to have, on the 14th, we should have the bollards installed. That we
I was going to say some posts in there would slow that
contain
down.
them into, well, we'll contain them into the parking area, but...
And that is our concern, is that right now they're in the parking lot. Before the bollards go up, we don't want them to have access to the fields that we planted.
We have a question in the back, Mr. Everly.
Yeah, I was wondering, where is this at again? I'm sorry.
At the Auburn Township Park up there off on Munn Road.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I got for you guys.
Wasn't any of you guys, was it?
No. I love that park. I go there all the time.
Oh, thanks.
Just checking.
Well, I think we need to maybe authorize need a couple $100 maybe, and you guys can install.
Sure.
And put a couple more cameras up there.
Okay.
Got a spot for a motion light up there?
Maybe we could direct it off the field.
I think so too.
We put a couple up there too, for cheap, along with cameras. So they budget $500 for
Okay. Up to, yeah.
up to $500.
I'll second that. Kind of a shame, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was a kid once, but not on a gravel parking lot. You didn't do anything like that, you know?
It messes up your paint.
Exactly. You don't do that.
Do that in
Sorry, I guess I didn't mean to say that.
John,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
PJ?
Yes. All right, any further questions for Mr. Gordon regarding the roads or facilities or whatever? Okay, thank you, Emmerich. We'll move on to reports, and we'll start with John Everly.
We've had, I think, 4 meetings now, homing in on the final designs for the service building. We do have the footprint, which is basically 100 by 200. We have the siding of it completed, and we worked on designing the interior office area, locker room, storage areas, and we're working towards having that pretty much put together by the middle of December here. So far we're on time with everything, and we're moving into the area of drainage, and they're investigating the wastewater system so that we can determine whether we need to just modify what's there, use what's there. That's sort of the next step where we are right now, but we're moving right along. Jim Dixon would have been here tonight, but he was out of town, so asked me to step up. That's kind of kept us pretty busy. I think, as Emmerich said, we're all ready for winter. We did complete all the road projects that we set out to do, including building a 3/4 mile extension to the park trail, and a few extra roads that we had to repair due to the storm damage earlier in the summer. So had a very good, very busy year. I think the road guys did a marvelous job keeping on top of it, and I know sometimes it seemed a little bit undaunting, but we did complete that project on Stafford Road, which I think anybody that drives on that would agree that it came out very well. Very well. So, congratulate you guys on a pretty successful season. Set the bar pretty high for next year. That's all I have. Everybody knows my father-in-law passed away on November 24th, and I just want to thank everybody in the township for their concern and help in the getting us through all that. We had burial at Shady Side and the after funeral at Adam Hall, and so everybody's concern and help was greatly appreciated. I just want to thank all of you. That's all.
Okay. Well, Fred, what do you got?
A couple of things here. Let's do the payment report first. That seems popular. We've got warrants number 2712 through 2755 in front of you for your consideration, totaling $108,039.97. Included in there is the final payment to Roniak Paving for the Stafford Road project. And I also have a need for supplemental appropriations for architectural design fees. We did complete an agreement with Larson Architects, and we did receive his first request for a draw on that agreement. So we need to set some money aside. I have a resolution here, which I'll go ahead and read. Resolution 2015-17 for supplemental appropriations for architectural design fees. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Geauga County, Ohio, that it being necessary to provide for the construction, maintenance, and repair of roads and bridges, the Board of Trustees authorizes the following. The Board of Trustees, having entered into an agreement with Larson Architects Incorporated for architectural design and engineering of a new road department service garage, the fiscal officer shall appropriate and encumber $165,000, which is the entire contract price, within the general fund to account $1,330,360. That account being a special account set aside for contracted services for road and bridge. And that is the resolution.
How does that work around the end of the year? You got to re-encumber it then?
No, once I encumber that
Yeah.
in a purchase order, it'll roll over
Okay.
to the following year.
Okay, looking for a motion then on that resolution.
So moved.
I'll second it.
John?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
I've got a couple of housekeeping things to take care of. We received from the Attorney General, there was a settlement regarding rock salt with Cargill, and the settlement amount was $7,000. Our portion of it was $7,623.36. That money has been received into the general fund, but we need to decide if we want to put that into road and bridge, keep it in the general fund, or
Where did it come out of?
what do you guys want to do? Well, it came out of road and bridge.
So put it.
We used to buy supplies. We used to buy supplies out of more gas tax and license tax funds too.
Yes,
Of course, that's all part of R&B anyway, isn't it? Right?
correct. Yeah, there's accounts for supplies in all three of those funds.
I think it should go back into the road and bridge. That's where it came from.
Okay.
That's a motion.
More
I'll second it.
salt.
John?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
We have a couple of other items, similar items. The scrap tire grant had to be received into the general fund because we can't receive anything anywhere else. And do we want to keep it in the general fund or put that somewhere else?
I'd say that should also go in our road and bridge also because they're performing the labor on it, right? I'll make a motion to put it back in the road and bridge or put it in the road and bridge.
Second.
John?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
And finally, we received basically a premium rebate refund from Otarma, and that was in the amount of $1,957.87. That's for our liability insurance. I'm assuming we would keep that in the general fund.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to do that.
We don't need a motion for it then. That is almost all I have. We have audit coming up, and we have been approached by Julian and the group who have done our past audits to continue doing our audits. which requires an extension of the current contract that we have. They have proposed a fee of $10,000 for each biannual audit. So, because we have to go for 2 audit cycles. So, for January 2014 through December 2015 would be $10,000. Then January 2016 through December 2017 would be another $10,000. Those are payable after the audit is completed. I wanted to get board approval before I go ahead and give them a final okay on this.
Are we under any time constraints here, Fred?
We are not really. I mean, I know they're hurrying to try and get everything set up for this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
Fred, have you worked with them already one time?
I did. I was actually very happy with them in the first year I was here. I mean, that would have been for the 2013. We did a single year audit that year for 2013, and we had a new set of auditors.
And I would request that they be the best. They be not those previous ones.
Right.
Well, which is where I was getting to. Years ago, these were state auditors doing this.
Right.
Now they've been outsourced. Is there a list of approved accounting firms that can do this for the state?
There is.
Besides that one?
There is, yes.
If we got time, I'd like to get that list. If
Are they like
possible.
a government bid type thing for doing an audit for something our size, or
No.
so it is competitive bidding for that particular?
Well, it's
not- no,
our
it's-
responsibility to contract with someone, obviously.
Right, but there's no bid process on our part. If that's what you're asking.
Well, okay, there you say their fee is, well, it comes out to $5,000 a year.
No.
10 a year or 5 a year?
Comes out to 5 a year if you break it down.
That's 2 year.
But yeah, but each audit, they're only going to do.
So it's $5,000 a year. Now is that, as an old boss would say, he was really good for calculating stuff out. If you give somebody a price, $4,874.92.
Right.
Because you actually calculated it out. So $5,000 seems like kind of an arbitrary figure on their part.
It reflects.
Is it based on?
It's based on what they've done for us in the past. In the 2010-2011 biannual audits, that was $9,000. So this is with some increase.
10%.
Looking at $1,000.
I got to tell you, I'd be, since we're doing our end to meet the, responsibilities here to be audited, I don't see any reason why not to collect other potential firms that could fill that. Don't know if we can get quotes on them, you know what I mean? I don't know if we can get quotes because they do have experience with our books, but it's a UAN system.
Well, but they know. I mean, they know what our budget size is, and that's how they're going to do it. So,
and we're on UAN, so
I'm sure it's not going to be too hard for another firm to come up with a number.
Any thoughts? Why we couldn't look and do
Just get two additional
comparison shopping here?
Just kind of review other things, get a couple of different.
My only statement would be that I was really comfortable working with these guys last time, and I think that should count for something. But if there is a huge difference, then obviously, why not?
Well, we could ask them to sharpen their pencil.
Yeah, well, we'll throw them a couple of points for your comfort.
Let's do that. Right? Let's see if we can get another list and possibly another quote and then we'll revisit this in 2 weeks. Is that all right? You think they can pull that off? Okay.
And that is all I have.
Okay, I have a few things. One is we moved along with this quote. We got a second quote, but timing-wise couldn't be done. We had some of the aluminum trim and some door problems over here at Town Hall, and I got a quote in from excuse me, Joe McKenzie, contractor from Chardon, Ohio, that could get right on it to do those repairs. They've been done. But I'm going to ask for approval on that for repair of front entrance issues at Town Hall for $150 from Joe McKenzie.
Mr. Moneybags here, huh?
Yeah.
Fine. So moved.
I'll second that. John got it.
You start fixing doors and you start fixing windows.
Yeah, who needs
It's a slippery
storage
slope.
time here?
John,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
PJ.
Yes. A little bad news from Jugget-Trumbull Solid Waste District. They've suspended that Christmas tree recycling thing that we were, I think, charter members of that. It's been quite a few years we've been part of that program, and I think it's worked pretty well, but that's not going to be funded by Solid Waste District anymore. What do you think? Something we ought to do or no?
You guys pay the bills, but
We do.
I can't accommodate them. The one area of concern I do have is that it doesn't run too deep into February as far as receiving trees. We're trying to empty that lot currently because of the skew of the new building. I do have a place to take them here in town that's willing to accept any type of material like that. So
How many residents use that program?
It's usually a quick thing for us where we just invest a few hours in a truck and a few men and a backhoe. So,
How many residents use that program?
we've had anywhere from 35, 55, 60 trees come and drop off.
It's better than finding them on the road somewhere.
Yeah.
It's probably easier for you to deal with them in one place than through a bunch of ditches.
It is. We did try a service where we went door to door, but a lot of times with the snow and the ice and they were frozen to the ground, and it took a lot more time.
Now, from the fire department's perspective, you wouldn't encourage the burning of Christmas trees?
No, I would not.
Okay, all right, just thought I'd clear that up.
You can.
It is dramatic and it's kind of fun, but
Leave your mind some, Gordy. My wife bought an artificial tree this year.
Oh, yeah, great. But we can go back and look at, because we do submit our bill every time for that.
right, we
And
got
we can go back
cost.
and look at what the cost is
Yeah.
and see if it's justifiable for us to go ahead and continue that on our own. I mean, that's something you guys would decide.
Thoughts?
I think we should do it.
Yeah, that's it. They're going to end up someplace bad if we don't.
We'll just go ahead and publish a definite cutoff date where we're going to accept them at such a date. You know. That way I can handle them and get them out of here.
Okay. Well, I'm sure then probably by next meeting we'll have some drop off and deadline information, and yeah, we'll attempt to continue with that. As for the folks here, Auburn Township's going to host the Jogga Township Association dinner meeting on January 21st up at Adam Hall. And we have invited, as a board, we've invited our commission members and zoning board of appeals members. If they choose to bring a guest, they can pay beyond that. But yeah, that's how we're going to do that. And I think those guys are in too. Yeah. Gotten a couple of calls over the last 2 months, and I think Nancy made copy of some interest in there was an auction, real estate auction down here at on the east side of 44 in East Washington Valley, down in that area. And we've taken a series of phone calls up here with a interested party that would like to, I believe he says he wants to land assemblage. I think you guys got copies of the tax bill from the auditor's office. Haven't done any type of negotiation or anything on this. Obviously, as no single trustee can. But I can tell you that the numbers mentioned were only slightly higher than the land value that the auditor has assigned to that. So,
Might want to keep in mind that we're going to be utilizing that
right.
2016.
Just thought I'd throw it out there. I mean, it's a township asset that we have really not used. The state's used it extensively for road projects. Like I said, you guys kind of a special case coming up here where we're going to use that again. It was the site of the old township garage before this garage was built, long time ago. So when I talk to this fella, which I'm supposed to do, I'll spell out that we're intending on using the property at least for the next 12 months. No, I'm going to say 18 months. Yeah. After which, maybe if he's still interested, I guess we'll leave it at that. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Everything else I have is on the further down the agenda. Emmerich, you got. I'm glad you're here still because we're going to have to discuss the township mailbox replacement policy. I do have a copy of that. There it is. I believe in the past we've been putting up a standard post, 4-inch post, and a standard mailbox, or a reimbursement of $30 upon if the township, if our actions led to the destruction of loss of the box.
Correct.
Yeah, which I must say is a lot more generous than the state of Ohio's, but and I think we're probably a lot more prompt in filling these kind of requests too. What's the discussion on updating this?
Over the last 2 years when we've been replacing these boxes, actually we're spending $39 to $40 per box and a post. The $30 wouldn't cover if we paid someone to put up a standard box and post any longer. We were looking at an adjustment. We looked at surrounding townships, and we're having around $40, $45.
How many do we have? And of course, typical.
A typical winter for us, very limited, 6. Not anymore. I keep 6 cents in hand. Inventory.
40, 45 is the.
Yeah, we're paying 39 something now for a box and a post.
It did go up, yeah.
Right, they went up.
We do a metal post,
No, we do the wood post.
you can put wood in them.
Yeah. With a 4x4 wood with the economy metal box, rural box. And for us to give them $30, it doesn't cover the replacement of the economy box and post any longer.
I buy one a year, and you're right. That's anymore.
I go. Let's say make a motion to move it to $40.
I think that'll do it, and I'll second that.
John?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
PJ?
Yep. Okay, we've had some more action down at Adam Hall, unfortunately, with some roof issues and some water issues. This is on the east side of the building. We had kind of an infiltration of water into one of the power supply boxes, which I think we cured that, which was good news because that looked imposing when you just saw what was going on there. We've got a quote from Hummel Construction for repairs there. North half of building, this is on the west side. Remove 200 feet of gutter, soffit, fascia, and drip edge. Spray an inch of BASF closed cell foam at the trusses and rafters and baffle blockers. Install, that's spray and insulation. Install custom apron drip edge to gutter under existing shingles. It's going to go 6 inches up under. Ice and water shield at new drip edge, which is not there currently. Reinstall fascia, soffit, and gutters. Remove and reinstall the heat wires. $8,650. Timing-wise, we're going to try to take advantage of this reasonable weather and get this done. So we've gone over this thoroughly, and this seems to be the cure.
Okay, well, we gotta get it fixed, so I'll make a motion to hire him.
Second.
John?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
BJ?
Yes. Okay, Fred, we have some cemetery deeds we do.
You do indeed have deeds.
Here's the deed, your deeds.
And thought I'd mention tonight that we have some positions still open that are subject to township appointment here. Looking for a representative to the Kenston Community Education Board. I believe that's a 3-year term. Any interested parties? We'd love to hear from you. Our cemetery sexton's going to have to step down due to some personal stuff going on, and she's done a good job. She's been very responsive and been with, people at what's a tough time, you know that. And
Yeah, Susan was great.
well, we need to make a replacement there on the first of the year. And that job's been posted. I know it's on the website. I think it's on the board over there. But once again, interested parties, if they contact the office there, we appreciate it. We're also short. We have chosen to create a few years back, due to state law, 2 positions of zoning commission and board of appeals alternate spots, and I can't say how many of those are at this point. We're looking for applicants, but we are looking for applicants for one or either or both of those commission and board spots. That gets us to the bottom of the agenda. Is Kevin Graham, I don't believe, is here. Are you Todd?
I am Todd.
Okay, Todd, we're going to get to you here soon. He's applied for showed some interest in our commissioner board. We'll talk about that in short order. Any public comment tonight? Go ahead.
Yes, Diane Jones. Several months back, this board approved an action whereby Leaky Pete was put up for auction. Would like the status report on that, as well as a commitment, or at least an affirmation, that the resolution that was discussed tonight with Mr. Callender will be posted online at the website.
It will be
after the attorney reviews it.
After it's, yeah, I mean, it's up to the board. If you want to post it before it's signed.
I would think that'd be a bit premature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say you would.
Okay, so pending
It's going to go.
pending
Pending
legal
review and acceptance.
I've already taken a look at it.
Okay.
Then once it's approved, then that would be posted.
Okay, and Leaky Pete, was it ever sold?
Leaky P is residing in that garage, and they're working since setting the account up to enter into the auction site.
So it was or was not?
It's retired right now. It's in our garage. So we're working on getting it on
new entry?
Getting it on the deal.com. So
Okay.
once we get on there, we don't have anything listed on there as of yet.
Okay, this is the same website
Yes,
that you
deal.com.
explored before.
Yes,
Okay.
deal.com.
You know,
Everybody in the surrounding communities are using it as well. The
Okay.
county is being used.
yeah,
so
they
you'll
get
see it
a
on
lot
there.
of traffic, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You want to put in a bid, you're just going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Anyone else?
Is that what you believe? Leaky Pete?
She knows who the Kiki is. Thank you. We affectionately refer to it.
It was our roadside mower. So, okay.
Great.
Anybody else? No? Well, we're going to do an executive session to do some interviews for commissioner board applicants. There won't be any further action after that. So that wraps up our meeting, but we're not going to adjourn because we've got one more piece of business to do in executive session. So I'll make a motion to move to executive session.
Second.
John?
Yes.
Mike?